as well as the turkey in the oven and the pumpkin pies cooling on the shelf. We take a lot of pride in our coffee, and we want you to know you can count on Maxwell House every cup you pour. We'll keep it always good to the last drop on Thanksgiving Day and every day in the year.
That was very good, Barbara. Very good indeed. Now, our next winner is a rugged individualist indeed.
Jim, it's Kathy.
I'll be right in. She put her thoughts on Thanksgiving into verse and will now read the poem which won for her the competition in the 4th grade. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kathleen Andis.
Is it Kathy? Has she started yet?
Jim, be quiet.
Well, I just wanted to know.
Thanksgiving Day by Kathleen Joy, Louise Anderson. 4th grade. Thanksgiving is a lucky day for all the girls and boys. It isn't just like Christmas when your parents give you toys.
Well, why doesn't she go on?
Jim, please.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
It isn't as if she had to remember anything. She's got it right in front of her.
Oh, dear, she's probably very nervous.
Well, she can read, can't she?
Kathleen, we're waiting.
I want to go home.
Now what's gotten into her?
Oh, the poor little thing.
Miss Anderson just remembered a previous engagement. Well, perhaps we'll have better luck with our next little guest. The winner of the competition in the 5th grade.
You see, Margaret, I told you she shouldn't have gone.
Oh, my poor baby.
I've never heard anything like that in my entire life.
She was frightened, Jim, that's all.
Frightened of what? You can't shut her up when she's in the house. As soon as she's supposed to talk, she makes a noise to sound like Georgie Jessel. I tell you, Margaret.
Yes, Jim.
Do you think we ought to go down and get her?
Oh, I don't think so.
Poor kid's probably crying her heart out.
She'll get over it. And don't forget, they promised her 2 drumsticks.
I don't know. She didn't sound very hungry.
Do I?
What?
You promised me a Thanksgiving dinner at the townhouse, remember?
Oh, yes, I did, didn't I?
I'll get my hat and coat, or would you rather have me sue you for breach of promise?
Margaret.
Jim, there isn't anything wrong, is there?
Oh, no, honey. Everything's fine. It's just that... Well...
Yes?
I've been doing a lot of thinking, and, would you mind very much if we didn't go out?
Why, Jim.
I know I promised you dinner, but, well, I'd just rather eat here.
There isn't anything to eat.
Sure there is. I saw a whole heap of hamburger in the icebox.
A hamburger on Thanksgiving Day?
Well, Margaret, to tell you the truth, this, doesn't seem much like Thanksgiving. Not like the kind of Thanksgiving we used to know.
Well, it's finally happened. After only 18 years, you're tired of me.
You know what I mean, don't you, honey?
I think so.
Thanksgiving has always been a special sort of a day for me. Even when I was a boy. It was more than just a holiday. It was a time when the whole family got together and had fun. We used to go out into the country to my grandmother's.
We did, too. Go to my grandmother's, I mean.
The whole family used to be there. My Uncle Rob and his wife and their 8 children, and my Uncle Will and his wife and their 10 children.
That must have been cozy.
Oh, it was. We ate in shifts. My grandmother always swore she was feeding half of the neighbors' kids. But it was fun.
Did you play games after dinner?
Heck no. We were so stuffed we couldn't move.
Oh, you were a bunch of sissies. We used to play Going to Jerusalem or musical chairs or charades.
That's pretty hard to do with just 2 people, isn't it?
Jim, there's one thing we mustn't forget. This is a new generation. It's a different sort of generation with new ideas and a new sense of values. Times have changed.
I guess they have. Let's go into the kitchen and see what we can throw together.
You're an old sentimentalist, Jim Anderson. That's what you are. And I love you.
I love you, too. You know, maybe if the kids get home early, we can all go to a movie or something. How'd you like that?
Oh, I wouldn't count on it, dear. Betty said not to expect her before midnight, and Bud's dinner won't start until 6.
Well, Kathy isn't going to stay out all night, is she?
Well, no.
Okay, then we'll take Kathy to the movies.
Well, we'll see, dear. It all depends on... Bud.
Hiya, Mom. Hi, Dad.
What are you doing here?
Fixing a hamburger. Want one?
Well, what happened to the dinner?
What dinner?
At the training table with the football team.
Oh, that dinner.
Well?
I don't know. I guess I just wasn't hungry.
Weren't hungry? You?
Jim, I'm going to call Dr. Simmons.
Wait a minute, Margaret. Bud, if you aren't hungry, why the hamburger?
The hamburger?
Pardon me, the 3 hamburgers.
Oh, well, I guess I got hungry.
Oh, Bud, if you don't feel well, please tell us.
But I do feel well, Mom. I feel fine.
Look, Bud, if you don't want to tell us the truth.
But I am telling you the truth. I didn't like the dinner, that's all. Bunch of big goofs sitting around talking about football. What good is that?
Since when don't you like to talk about football?
What good is that?
Since when don't you like to talk about football?
Just a second, honey. Kathy?
It's me, Father.
What's she doing home?
What on earth is...
We're in the kitchen, Betty.
I'll be right in.
Oh, dear, just when everything was going so well.
Margaret, why do you immediately assume that something is wrong? Maybe the Liggets decided not to have a party. Or maybe Betty had the wrong day. Lots of things could have happened.
The party was today. I know it was.
Well, maybe it hasn't started yet.
What's everybody doing in the kitchen? Oh, hi, Bud. What are you doing here?
Oh, nothing much. Want a hamburger?
Okay.
Never mind the hamburgers, Bud. We've got things to discuss that are much more important.
Then hamburgers?
Do you feel all right, dear?
Sure. Why?
You told your mother you wouldn't be home until midnight.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to, but I came up with the most awful headache.
Jim.
You just said you felt fine.
I do. Oh, I mean, I do except for this headache.
Jim, I'm going to call Mrs. Liggett and ask her...
Mother, you know if there was anything wrong, I'd tell you. I always have, haven't I?
Yes, dear, you have, but...
Just a minute, Margaret. Kathy?
Yes, Daddy?
We're in the kitchen. Come on in.
Yes, Daddy.
See, Margaret, I told you we should have gone down for her.
Well, I had no way of knowing.
What's the matter with Kathy?
Your sister reads the first line of her poem and bursts into tears.
No kidding.
The poor little thing.
Hello.
Oh, Angel.
Hello, sweetheart. Come on over here and tell your daddy all your troubles.
I don't have any troubles, Daddy. I'm just not happy.
Well, it isn't anything to cry about, is it?
It was a lovely poem, darling, even if you didn't read it.
And don't you worry, knothead. If anybody makes fun of you, I'll poke 'em right in the nose.
Oh, Bud.
I don't care if they do make fun of me. I didn't want to read my poem, not to them.
Why, Kathy, they're your friends.
I don't want them. It's Thanksgiving, and I wanted my mommy and my daddy and my sister and my brother. I was lonesome.
Kathy, darling.
She's all right, Margaret. Just leave her alone.
Mother,
Yes, Betty.
I was lonesome too.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Oh, Jim.
Margaret, not you.
Yes, me too.
Good grief. You sound like the third act of Uncle Tom's Cabin. What's the matter with you, Bud?
Nothing. I just feel like blowing my nose, that's all.
Well, blow it. Now, get busy with the hamburgers.
Okay, Dad.
How about a little food for the hungry Anderson?
Well, I'm starving.
Hamburgers. It's a fine thing to serve for a Thanksgiving dinner, isn't it?
It sounds fine to me.
I don't care what part of the hamburger I get. As long as it's the drumstick.
That girl, Kathy. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's sit down and be comfortable.
Well, I'll take over, Bud.
I'm doing fine, Mom.
Oh, Bud, really?
Now, don't argue with the chef, Margaret. Just sit down and relax.
Well, if you insist.
4 hamburgers coming up.
Well, that'll take care of me, but what are they going to eat?
Betty.
Oh, you big pig.
Margaret, kids, before we dig into these juicy Thanksgiving burgers, may I say something?
Sure,
Go
Dad.
ahead, dear.
This has been, I think, the happiest Thanksgiving day of my entire life. And if you don't mind, I'd like to say a special grace. Oh, Lord, we give thee thanks from the bottom of our humble hearts for the blessings thou hast seen fit to bestow upon us. We thank thee for the food that graces our table and the roof that covers our head. We thank thee for the privilege of living as free men in a country which respects our freedom and our personal rights to worship and think and speak as we choose. But most of all, dear Lord, we thank thee for making us a family, for giving us sincerity and understanding. We thank thee for giving us the most cherished gift a family may know, the gift of love for one another. Amen.
It's morning now, and in the Anderson Breakfast Nook, life has eased back into its accustomed groove. Thanksgiving Day is over, but the Andersons, well, they go on forever, like this.
Why can't I wear lipstick? Claudia McHugh does, and she's only 12.
Here's your coffee, dear.
Thank you.
Well,
Well, what?
why can't I?
Because I said you couldn't. And eat your breakfast.
Gee whiz.
Oh, Margaret, we've got to do something about that boy. He's beginning to shake the house.
I'll speak to him, dear.
If he can't take it easy on the stairs, don't feed him so much. One of these days he's going to go right through.
Hiya, Dad. Good morning,
Hi.
Mom.
Sit down and eat your breakfast.
Good morning, dear.
He didn't say anything to me.
Hiya, Squirt.
Good morning.
Mother, do you know what Bud did? He used my good cologne on his hair.
Good morning, Betty.
I used 2 drops.
You used practically the whole bottle.
I did not.
Good morning, Betty.
Mother, if I can't have a little privacy with my own thing.
Betty.
What?
Good morning.
Good morning, Father.
That's better. Sit down, eat your breakfast.
Jumping creepers.
You know, Margaret, there's one thing I'm really going to enjoy about our Thanksgiving Day dinner yesterday.
What's that, dear?
We're probably the only family in Springfield that won't be eating leftover turkey for the next month.
Yes, dear.
What are we going to have for dinner tonight?
Leftover hamburgers.
So you don't think your family will ever be hungry again? Well, you just wait till tomorrow morning. The kids will be banging their spoons for breakfast the same as ever. So be ready with steaming bowls of hot Post wheatmeal. And tell the youngsters it's Hopalong Cassidy's favorite hot cereal. Yes, hot Post wheatmeal with solid whole wheat nourishment and rich nut-like flavor that Hopalong sure goes for. Hot Post wheatmeal. You'll see, you'll all agree, it's the best hot cereal you ever ate.
These days, stores everywhere are featuring lower prices on Maxwell House coffee. The lowest prices in months. Bring home one of those familiar blue tins tomorrow and enjoy coffee that's always good to the last drop. Join us again next week when we'll be back with Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson, with Roy Bargy and the Maxwell House Orchestra, and yours truly, Bill Foreman. So until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House. Father Knows Best was transcribed in Hollywood and written by Ed James. Now stay tuned in for Dragnet, which follows immediately over most of these stations.
Exciting Dragnet is next, then We the People on NBC.